So we have 1 Kings 3:1. And Solomon made affinity with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and took Pharaoh's daughter, and brought her into the city of David, until he had made an end of building his own house and the house of Yah and the walls of Jerusalem round about. So he built the house, right? And so he was a man of great diplomacy. Y'all know what that is? He was a wise king, and he was a man of peace. And he made peace with other surrounding nations. So there was no wars brought to Israel. There was no lot of deaths. And he was very diplomatic. He got along with the kings in the area because he was very wise, and he married their daughters to strengthen the relationship between Israel and those surrounding nations. All right? This was a very wise man. But when we leave righteousness, our wisdom become a downfall. I want you all to see this. Pay close attention and look at your Bibles. Don't daydream. Wake up now.
That's why he was called Shlomo.
And why was that?
Because of the peace that was brought about, the temporary peace.
Right, the temporary peace that he brought, because his daddy was a man of war.
Because his name was
Yedediah. That's right.
Shlomo was more of a nickname.
Right. It was a surname because of his reputation.
Right.
So his reputation, he was a man of peace. Because he was very wise. He wasn't like Donald Trump. Just loose at the tongue. He had some diplomacy. He was more like Obama. He had a lot of diplomacy. He knew how to talk to people. Very charismatic. And so that's not enough without righteousness. And this is what we want us to see today in the scriptures. All right? So verse 2, only the people sacrificed in high places, because there was no house built unto the name of Yah until those days. So he was wise enough for the father to allow him to do these things. This is very important in our culture. Verse 3, and Solomon loved YHWH and walked in the statutes of David his father. Only he sacrificed and burnt incense in the high places. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for there was the great high place. 1,000 burnt offerings did Solomon offer upon the altar. Now remember, we said this is foolish to the world, right? The world don't understand why we sacrifice. We sacrifice animals, and now YHWH became our sacrifice. That's foolish wisdom to the world. But what did it say it does for Yah? It pleases him to do what he tell us to do. All right? And that seemed foolish to the world. It says, in Gibeon, YHWH appeared to Solomon in a dream by night and said, ask, what shall I give you? And Solomon said, you have showed unto your servant David my father great mercy, according as he walked before you in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart with you. And you had kept for him, it's some cold waters in the refrigerator. You have kept for him this great kindness, that you has given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. This is a conversation that he's having with the Most High in the dream. All right? He says, and now, O YHWH, my Elohim, you has made your servant king instead of David, my father, and I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in. This is how his wisdom began. You can inherit the throne. You can inherit riches. The Bible say a fool and his money will what? Soon part, right? A fool will lose his money, and that money represents everything that he has that's worth something, because a fool will lose it. It says, and your servant is in the midst of your people, which you has chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered or counted for multitude. Couldn't take census of us. That was a sin. David did it and got in trouble with the Most High. The Father promised us that we would be as numerous as the sand on the sea. And it says that Satan tricked David to censor us. And Yah wasn't pleased with that. And so Solomon understood that. And he said, you has chosen a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted. See that? For a multitude. Yah. This is Yah's doing. He said, give therefore your servant a what? Understanding heart. Understanding mind. Right? To judge your people. To discern your people. This is what Solomon asked the Father. That I may discern between good and bad. Hint, hint, wink, wink. He's teaching us how to petition the Father. This is what we should be praying for. Especially those of us teach Israelites. And if you are a father, if you are a mother, if you are an adult, an uncle, or an aunt, you are teaching Israel. If you're an Israelite, and this is what you need to be praying, from the Father. This is not just for Morim and bishops and elders and pastors and evangelists. This is also for fathers and mothers and uncles too. How many folk grew up without their father? How many folk grew up without a moray? But you still lived and grew up, right? So that means you need to be taught wisdom from on high. So whoever is teaching in our community needs to be anointed by the Father. That's why I read to you all earlier, Psalms 91 says a messenger, the messengers in your life will keep you in the way from dashing your foot against the stone. The cares of this world, whether that's your father, your mother, your football coach, your baseball coach, your professor in college, everybody that Yah sends in your life. Those are messengers that he anoints, not because they're a coach, but because Yah sent them. And they have authority. The authority that's in your life that Yah sends. Those are the messengers for you. Those are your angels that keep you, that remind you to go the right direction. Yeah.
And bear in mind, those individuals he just named, the way you qualify them as messengers is what we talked about last week, to the law and to the testimony.
That's right.
They speak according to that.
Great point.
You know, because you got coaches and teachers and professors that's also sent by the adversary.
By the enemy. That's right.
So you qualifying by what's coming out of their mouth and whether or not it's according to the Most High.
That's right.
That's how you identify those messages. You got a coach telling you, or a teacher pull you to the side as a young lady and say, "Hey, you in these boys' faces a little too much. You sending the wrong message." That's a messenger.
Right. And that's a great point.
You know, now you got them teachers that say, "Girl, you got it, flaunt it."
That's from the devil.
Stuff that you know that's from the devil.
That's right.
So you gotta understand, you gotta try the spirit by the spirit, and that criterion to the law and to the testimony. That's your test.
That's your measuring. That's your measuring stick. And what I was going to say is that those other angels are only going to confirm what your parents taught you. They're only going to confirm what your moray taught you. So that's a great point. And that's how you identify whether they sent from the Father. Those are all messengers in your life. And their job is to remind you what the Spirit said. That's their job. And all they're going to do, they're worded in their own way. But that's the same thing my daddy told me. Because when you in college, when you at work doing something you ain't got no business doing, and somebody reminds you what you've been taught from a child, all right? So, great point, Israel. Verse 9. Solomon is telling the father, give therefore your servant himself an understanding mind to judge your people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this people, this so great of a people? Hey, Yah says that Israel is the apple of his eye. And you'll be in trouble. He said, I bless those who bless Abraham, and I curse those who curse him. And that's talking about Abraham's people. And the world understands that when you bless Israel, you get blessed. And when you curse Israel, you're going to get dealt with. There's no nation that put their hands on us that Yah ain't dealt with them. So the American white man and the European got his coming. It's in Yah's timing. It's not racism. Yahweh didn't say that. Yahweh read that. Yah said that. Yah said it. And so, know the truth, and the truth to make you free. So it behooves the white man to repent. And don't get mad at me, but repent. Because Yah gonna deal with you for what you've done and what you're doing today to the children of Israel. Verse 10. And the speech pleased Yah that Solomon had asked these things. Hint, hint, wink, wink. This pleased the Father, teaching you how to pray. And Elohim said unto him, because you has asked this thing, and has not asked for yourself long life, those selfish prayers, the Bible calls it praying in the midst. You didn't ask for those selfish things, like what? Long life. Neither did you ask for riches, like what? Riches for yourself. Nor has you asked the life of your enemy. Avenge me, Yah. Kill the white man. Kill my neighbor. Kill my cousin. My uncle raped and touched me. Kill him. Because you didn't ask for those things. But who asked for those things? David did. David asked the Father to kill his enemies. David asked for a lot of those things. And that's why there was so much blood on his hands. He couldn't build the temple. Yah is a man of war, but he also is a man of peace too. And he said, under the sun, there's a time for everything. It's a time for war, and it's a time for peace. So this is a time for peace. So he didn't use the likes of a David during that time. He used the likes of a Solomon during that time. You have to discern the times. All right? So you didn't ask for riches for yourself, nor ask for the life of your enemies. But you ask yourself understanding and discernment and judgment. These are things that makes you a God. You want to be a God? This is what you ask the Father for. Discernment, judgment. And know what the Father going to do? He going to point you to Torah. Because you can't be a judge, you can't be a God unless you know Torah. You understand? Verse 12. Behold, I have done according to your words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and understanding heart, so that there was none like you before you, neither after you shall any rise like unto you. And I have also given you that which you has not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto you all your days. See that? So because he didn't ask for riches, he didn't ask for selfish things, praying in the midst, oh Yah, give me the lottery numbers. Give me the numbers, Father, so I can hit the lottery. Hey, who knows if that's the Father's will? But Yahushua told us to seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and these things will be added. So I'm not saying if you hit the lottery, we don't want none of that money. That ain't what I'm saying. So I ain't like them hypocrites that's gonna curse people. Ah, you working on the Shabbat, but you always asking for the money that the person worked. So hey, I tell you, beg Yah for forgiveness and seek the Father for direction, that you don't have to break his law to make money.
That's when he places his finger on the heart of those
that have authority over you. That's right. So this is how we teach over here. We're not going to kill you for working on the Shabbat and then ask for an offering. No, we understand. And so Yah understands that you got need of everything you got need of. He says, not one hair, one string of hair fall from your head that he don't know. So Yah understands what we have need of. He said, seek ye first the kingdom and what? Its righteousness. Then these things will be added unto you. So that is the goal, people, to seek Yah's righteousness. Then things, Yah will give you riches. Yah give you a good job. But you got to seek the kingdom first. Put the kingdom first. Not telling you not to go to school and not to get your BA and MA and all of those degrees. Get them. Don't drop out of high school. Don't you dare quit high school. How you going to support yourself and support your family without some level of education, in America? That's how you survive in this nation and in this world, in the system of the world. What I'm saying is, don't put that before Yah. Don't put that. Keep things in its proper perspective. Keep things in its proper place. So Yah gave this man wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and he gave him riches and honor. Because of the wisdom the Father gave him, the riches and the honor gonna come behind that. So if we seek the kingdom first, this is for our learning. These stories is not in here for entertainment. This ain't all eyes on me. This is for our learning that we may have hope. How many Israelites out here, that's struggling financially? This is designed to encourage you to stay righteous, stay on the path. Yah, you did it for Solomon. You would do it for me. All right? Keep your finger here. I want to go to Matthew the 12th chapter, then we're going to come right back. Let's go read something that YHWH said about Solomon, and let's get something straight about what I said. He is the second most smartest man that ever walked the earth. Because right here, it says that he was the smartest. Before him, during his time and after him. Because the non-believers will say YHWH will lie. But I'm going to tell you why he didn't lie. Wisdom told us that he didn't lie. And we read it last week in Proverbs, the 8th chapter. How many of y'all remember that? What did wisdom say about YHWH? That he was there before the foundation of the earth. So what did the Father just say to Solomon? I have given ye wisdom and understanding in heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any rise like unto thee. Matthew 12.
That was on condition.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was on condition that he stayed righteous. Excellent point. Look at verse 42. Matthew 12, and look at 42. Is everybody there?
939, page 939.
So the sovereignness, the queen, right, of the south shall rise up in judgment with this generation and shall condemn it. This is YHWH was speaking about Solomon and Bathsheba, which was his mother, right? His wife. Bathsheba was his mother, wasn't it? Bathsheba, the sister that Solomon, that David saw on the roof.
Right.
What was her name again?
Bathsheba.
The queen, say it again.
Bathsheba.
Bathsheba.
The queen was known as the queen of Seba, which is a kingdom.
So it's like they got the same name, but one is a title.
Right.
Gotcha. So the queen of the south shall rise up in judgment with this generation and shall condemn it. For she came from the ends of the earth to hear wisdom from Solomon. And look, a greater than Solomon is here. That's YHWH speaking. One greater than Solomon is here. He was talking about himself. So he said he's greater than Solomon. But Solomon was wise, was a very wise man. So how wise was YHWH if he was greater? Righteousness. Because
there would have been no need for a Messiah if Shlomo, you know, the promise was on condition that Shlomo's
not sin.
Right. Which would have made it as long as the people stayed in obedience and he stayed in obedience, there would have been no need for such a sacrifice.
Right. He probably just been the king, but he wouldn't have been.
And we'd have still been in our life as long as we stayed up, because you read in Deuteronomy, right? The Deuteronomy 28, the blessings and the curses. It tells you the first 15 verses what the condition of we would be in.
The blessings.
Right, the blessings, if we stayed obedient.
Right.
So we would have never gone through Babylon. We would have never
went through that stuff.
Through none of that stuff.
Right.
Had we stayed obedient. So that was on condition. All of that stuff was on condition. What he was given to Solomon was on the condition,
right, that
we stayed obedient.
Right.
Which the Father knew we wasn't.
Right, and he didn't.
And he didn't, and we didn't.
Right.
He knew that wasn't going to be the case, but he's just putting it out there that you have this opportunity
to accomplish something very big.
That
if you stay this course.
As you stay this course,
right.
You know what I'm saying? But the Father knew the end before the beginning.
Yeah, he knew
that they wasn't. He knew the Shlomo wasn't.
Right.
So, but when you read that, you have to make sure you understand that this is a promise that was given to him with condition that the Father knew wasn't going to be kept. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a need to say it.
Very good. And my point here in Matthew 12 is to bring out how even the Messiah acknowledged the wisdom that Solomon had. And so getting back to the original point, that if Solomon failed in all his wisdom, who are us? And so once again, the title is Remember Righteousness, Wisdom is Not Enough. All right? Remember righteousness, wisdom is not enough, because wisdom is very attractive. And wisdom is pulling at us every day. I mean, with the way the world is going in, the wiser you are, the more money you make.
The wisdom of the serpent.
Absolutely. Wisdom is very attractive. It'll cause you to join secret societies because they claim to know, they claim to have esoteric understanding.
Gnosticism.
Right.
Secret knowledge.
Secret knowledge. Right. Gnosticism. Same thing. So you got knowledge, that only a few knows. But that's not what the Father caused. He caused us to be righteous. So when you're tempted with these things, you can remember the story of Solomon. All right? So YHWH said that Solomon was great in all his wisdom. Just want to point out to you that YHWH read the same thing that we're reading. So let's go back. Let's go back to 1 Kings. Let's go back to 1 Kings, the 3rd chapter. And pick it up at verse 13. 1 Kings 3 and 13. He said, I have also given you that which you has not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto you in all your days. And if you will walk in my ways, here's the condition, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as your father David did walk, then I will lengthen your days. That's why we read that earlier when David gave it to him, and now the Father is giving it to him. And this is how you know what's of the Father, because all it's going to do is repeat what you know is right. This is how you know all of the messengers or all of the angels that is in your life. They all going to say the same thing. We talked about how science information changes. But those of us believe in the Bible, we know that the Bible don't change, right? Deuteronomy 4th chapter, 2nd verse, you cannot add nor take away, right? Revelation 19, you cannot add or take away. So we know that this word is absolute. All right? And Solomon awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of YHWH, and offered up burnt offerings and offerings of peace offerings, and made a feast to all his servants. Then came there two women that were harlots unto the king, and stood before him. So now his wisdom is about to be tested. Now his wisdom is about to be tested. And the one woman said, "O master, I and this woman dwell in one house, and I was delivered of a child with her in the house." Now look how the man deal with harlots. Get out of here, you whore. Hey, you a whore, so you deserve to have these things happening to you. Is that how he dealt with the women? We're going to see. Because that's how brothers are dealing with some of the women, hey, on YouTube. Call them B's and H's, hey, because they living a life that's not pleasing to the Father. But he say, with loving kindness have I drawn thee.
But they not doing that to the brothers that's walking by.
Right.
That's laying with the same women.
Absolutely. Ain't that terrible? So look how he dealt with look how Solomon dealt with the whores. And it came to pass the third day after that I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also, and we were together. And there was no stranger with us in the house except we the two in the house. So two prostitutes, right, gave birth to two children. They both gave birth to a child. They live in the same house. Our community got problems, and the king got the wisdom to deal with the problems. You can deal with other people's problems and have all the answers, and you can still perish yourself. This is the lesson we got to learn from this. Shaul said the same thing. I can lead people to the kingdom and perish myself. That's what you don't want to do. So that means you got to take your own advice. First, you got to live what you preach. And this is how you prevent from allowing your wisdom to become your enemy. Verse 19, and this woman's child died in the night because she overlaid it. So one of the women fell asleep on her child. One of the women fell asleep on her child, and she smothered the baby by accident. All right? So this is one woman came to the king for instructions on how to deal with this problem. And she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me, while your handmaid slept, and laid in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. So she accused the other woman of stealing her child while she was asleep, and giving me the dead child. Because y'all know all our babies look alike when they little. Unless you got one of them distinguishing looks on you, where you know, wow, that baby look real different from everybody else, baby. I don't want to say ugly, but you know, unless your baby just looks so distinct. But I see so many kids look like mine, like, look like one of my kids. You know, when you look at pictures,
right,
Because I look at all my kids, all of them.
We look just like everybody.
Right, they all look alike. They all frown alike, they cry, sound alike, they poop, smell alike. So babies got a lot in common. All right. So once again, she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me while your handmaid slept, and laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. And when I rose in the morning to give my child suck, to nurse it, right, behold, it was dead. But when I had considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son which I did bear. Hey, a mother know his child. Hey, this ain't none of my child. The baby dead? Wait a minute, this ain't none of my child. And the other woman said, no, but the living is my son, and the dead is your son. And this said, no, but the dead is your son, and the living is my son. Thus they spoke before the king. So these two women came before the king. Now how he gonna do this? Ain't no DNA test. They harlots, so ain't no fathers. Ain't no fathers. Ain't no Maury right? Can't take no DNA test. I don't think that was invented back then. At least they weren't practicing it. Then said the king, the one said, this is my son that lived, and your son is the dead. And the other said, no, but the son is dead, is my son, is the living. So they're going back and forth. The king said, bring me a sword. And they brought him a sword before the king. And the king said, divide the living child into two, and give a half to one and a half to the other. So he said, cut the child up. Give one half to one mother and give the other half to the other mother. Then spoke the woman who the living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearned upon her son. What does the Hallelujah scripture say in verse 26?
It says the woman whose son was living spoke to the sovereign, for she was overcome with compassion for her son.
So it says her bowels yearned. So that's another way of saying that she had compassion for her child.
Right.
Okay. So she had compassion. Hey, in her gut, in her belly, hey, she felt something for her child. And she said, oh, my master, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. But the other said, let it be neither mine nor yours, but divided. So the woman who was the real mother of the dead child, hey, she had nothing to lose. Misery loved company. Kill it. In her own mind, mine dead already.
It was all envy from the first.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. It was some jealousy there. Yeah, go on, kill it, because mine dead. She can be sad and unhappy just like me. But I'm gonna pretend like this is my child. I'm gonna pretend like I'm gonna do the right thing and give both of us a half. Now we know if you cut the child in half, what that's gonna do? That's gonna kill a baby.
She said it's gonna be neither mine nor yours, so she knew it was gonna die.
She knew the child was gonna die. Then the king answered and said, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. She is the mother. So Solomon knew by their behavior, by their response to what he said to do, who would be the mother. He knew. The father gave him great discernment, how to judge between Israel. That's what makes you a God. Remember when Kawah ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil? And Satan told her, hey, you would be like us. Hey, knowing how to judge between good and evil. And so good and evil is just that. It's just like drugs. I take blood pressure medication. It's still drugs. But I take it to sustain the body of the temple of the spirit. But then you get a person who does cocaine or Molly's or whatever drug. They both drugs. They both pharmaceutical. It's the intentions of the heart of why the person using the drug. That's what make it sin or not. The knowledge of good and evil. Either you use drugs, for good, or you can use it for bad. You can take an aspirin for a headache, or you can take an aspirin for suicide. See how that works? So that's the knowledge of good and evil. What is your intentions of why you're doing what you're doing? Does everybody understand that? So this is what a judge has the ability to do. That's what makes you a God, according to, what is it, Psalms 82? And YHWH quoted it in is it John the 10th or John the 6th chapter? John 10, I believe. YHWH quoted Psalms and it said that your scripture said you are gods. That's what that means. You're a judge. You have the ability to judge between good and evil when you learn Torah. Because you can use the law for good reasons and you can use the law for bad reasons.
And it also means that you are mirroring the Father on earth.
Got you.
Because there's another scripture, I can't remember where it is, that says that the throne of Israel is actually the throne of Yah.
Got you.
In other words, the king is to the people he ruled over, as the Most High is to the universe.
Right.
It's a mirror.
It's a mirror. Right.
So you are in His image.
Right. It's a replica. That's right.
You know, but just on a lower level and scale.
That's why court systems are made based on the throne of heaven.
Right. You
got the judge seat, and he sits in heaven, and earth is his footstool. And that's why they're in the original courts. I ain't talking about modern day courts.
Right.
In the original courts, it's got a big seat, a big chair, and it's got a small round table where the plaintiff or the defendant goes.
Right.
And the seat where the judge sits represents the throne. And that small round table represents the earth.
Right.
Because heaven is my what? Throne, and earth is his what? Footstool.
And actually, like in earlier courts too, you would see two tables. On the right, it would be the defendant, to the right of the judge.
Right.
On the judge's right hand would be the defendant, and on the judge's left hand would be the accuser.
Okay.
You ever notice that it was always like that? They do it different now.
Yeah, it changes.
They mixed it up.
Yeah, yeah.
But for the longest while, it was always the judge is sitting there.
Right.
And the judge is facing out, and the defendant is on his right hand.
Yeah.
And the accuser is on the left hand.
That's an Enoch.
Anderson Job.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Because Satan bring accusation, and YHWH burning them up.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's always on the right. The
on the right hand.
Is on the right hand.
Right.
The right hand of the Father.
So when the scriptures say Satan comes back and forth, he's coming back to Yah's court to accuse the brothers. And the scriptures say before those accusations get to the Father, YHWH, our defendant, he's our defense attorney, he gets them and burns them up. Before, because he is interceding for us. So the court system is symbolic of what's taking place. Remember, Yah does everything in the natural.
They copy everything.
Yeah, because man was instructed to.
Right.
We was instructed by Moses to pattern everything. And so we're going to see that Moses had the wisdom of Egypt, but he also was taught not to worship the Father and not to carry out the religious purposes of Egypt.
Right.
But he had the wisdom of Egypt. And what is the two? What Egypt understood. Egypt understood how to run a civilization. We can't take that from them.
That's universal.
Right, it is universal, but they are one of the spearheads that done it. They were the ones that, whatever that level of spirit of Yah that was in man, hey, they heard it first.
Right.
Or they obeyed it first.
From Adam.
Right, from Adam.
From Noah.
Right, absolutely.
And there was civilizations before them. The Samaritans.
Absolutely.
Not the Samaritans.
Yeah, the Samaritans. The Babylonians.
The Babylonians.
Right, and so that's the great debate. Who had the first civilization in the world, whether it was Sumerians, Babylonians, or Africans? Was it Cush? You know, was it Nubia or Egypt? And so it depends on the author, where the source come from.
Down from Noah.
Right,
So
all of it did.
Really, you know, like a lot of them try to say, well, the Egyptians was first, or the Sumerians was first. I keep confusing Sumerians with Samaritans.
Yeah.
Sumerians.
Right, Sumerians.
Sumerians, Nubians.
Sumer.
Right.
Babylonians.
Babylonians.
Same thing.
They all got it.
They brothers.
Scriptures don't say that civilization started with Israel.
No, it don't.
Say that.
And we never claimed that. It said with Nimrod.
Don't claim that. So when they try to come with that, you wasn't.
We don't honor that. It don't mean that to us.
Right.
That means no. I'm saying this because I'm recording.
Right. Because like you're saying, wisdom and righteousness is two different things.
That's
this
the point.
book is not about the beginning of
civilization like that.
Not like that.
Right.
It's about it's to take you to righteousness.
Right. It's about surviving.
Right.
From the Father's wrath.
Yes.
And the only way you're gonna survive is through righteousness.
And being one with the Father in purpose.
That's right.
In spirit.
Absolutely. Let's go read something. Let's go to Acts. Coming back to 1 Kings. But let's go to Acts, the 7th chapter. Because I have to bag up what I said, and we have to bring clarity. Let's go to Acts, the 7th chapter. I'm not talking over you, Israel. I'm just making sure they can hear me on because I'm recording this for YouTube. And a lot of times on YouTube they can't hear you, and I'm just sitting there looking at the screen, and people looking, and they can't hear the people in the audience because this mic ain't that strong on the computer. You got to be like in the vicinity of it, you know, to hear. Let's look at Acts, and let's bring some clarity to this. We're talking about wisdom and righteousness. And we're not cursing wisdom because we know our people perish for a lack of knowledge. And when Yah brings it, we have to hear it. But the problem is the wisdom of the world. All right? And not the wisdom of Yah, but the wisdom of the world. Look at Acts 7 and 22. Let me know when y'all get there.
1062.
It says, Moses was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians and was mighty in words and in deeds. So, secular knowledge.
Right.
So Moses learned, it's nothing wrong with being aware of secular understanding, because your parents can shelter you and you have no knowledge of game, and soon as you get out in the world, and if you just all religious, people that's in the world gonna take advantage of you and try to sucker you. That's why we have to be balanced when we shelter our kids from the world, but they need some level of experience, and you got to give them game. You got to learn how to, when your kids get of a certain age, you got to teach them how to write a check, how to pay a bill, how to catch the bus, how to go to the market by themselves. Hey, we walk by faith and live by the law. You can't super shelter your kids where they don't know nothing. You got to have some level of the Egyptians, because Egypt runs the world. America is nothing but Egypt. Hey man, I learned in history.
It's representative of the secular world.
That's what it is. And I learned this, that the District of Columbia, when it was first discovered, was called Little Egypt. Ain't that something? Look it up. Hey, the first 13 colonies, it was called Little Egypt. I heard this from a historian, that it was called Little Egypt. They called America Little. America loved Egypt so much that they patterned themselves after Egypt and after the Bible. That's what. But that's because that's what Moses did. Because Egypt was the ones who discovered the toilet.
Ain't it interesting that they had us as slaves?
Right.
They patterned themselves after the Bible.
Right.
Masonically.
Right.
And in patterning themselves after the Bible, they chose an identity for themselves as Egypt.
As Egypt.
Out of all of the identities they could have chose.
They could have chose Babylon. They could have chose all of them.
Make themselves Israel.
Yeah, they sure could have.
But they chose to make themselves Egypt. So what does that tell you about the people that they had enslaved?
It's a replica.
They chose to equate themselves as Egyptians.
And the Bible told us that they was going to do that.
So what does that tell you about the people that they had? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's almost like they letting the cat out the bag.
Right.
Like in this,
because they know what it takes to be successful.
And they know who they are. They know who they are spiritually, and they knew who we are.
And they understand principles.
Right.
And they understand that America is blessed because it enslaved Israelites. And America is blessed because secularly it learns the system of Egypt. Egypt had sewer systems, gutters, and things of that nature. Hey man, Egypt was very naturally advanced. Man, they was very smart people. And so we don't argue with that. Hey, Egypt was like Israel's big brother.
It was the greatest. He told.
Yeah, it was.
He told him that's why he chose Egypt, to make a name for himself.
Absolutely, because y'all raised it up.
Because it was the greatest.
It was the greatest on the earth. And the whole world know that the God of the Hebrews destroyed Egypt.
Right.
And that's why ain't nobody heap of saying now. Because y'all destroyed it. And so America learned this information and patterned itself naturally after Egypt and tried to pattern itself spiritually after the Bible. That's what it did. And because it learned what Moses did. Watch this. Now it just told us Moses was learned in all the wisdom of Egypt. That's secular wisdom. And was mighty in the words, and in deeds, right? Now watch this. Turn to Leviticus, the 18th chapter. The Bible does not contradict itself.
He had knowledge and skills. That's what he's saying.
Absolutely. Because Egypt was a great human civilization. It was like when the brothers that grew up in the hood leave the hood. Hey, I ain't mad at you because you moved to a good community that's going places where I'm not talking about the systematic racism that exists in the black community. We understand that. I'm just talking about it is what it is. Right. You know, hey, ain't no stores, hey, ain't no business, ain't no prospering, and you leave. It's dead. Why would you stay there? To show some patriotism to nothing? No. If you leave the community, that's just wisdom. I'm not mad at nobody who leave and they go to an area, hey, that's pique your interest, that supports your interest, your mind. You go into a community where there's businesses, there's prosperity, there's people that's working, sowing and reaping. And ain't no killing and murdering because people got business and they got things to do. So I'm not mad at nobody who does that. I understand. And it's not everybody's job, hey, to save the hood. Hey man, hey, if it ain't given to you, it ain't given to you. I ain't mad at nobody who leave the hood. You know, it just, you have to just watch your intentions. That's all. Don't allow white supremacy and systematic racism to shape your mind. But hey, leave because you know better. And you trying to save your children. Your kids gotta walk to school. You want your kids walking through killers and gangbangers? No. If you want safety for your kids, then you get safety for your kids. If you don't have enough faith, hey, to live in the hood, then leave. And that's just wisdom. And so,
and you can, they said sometimes you gotta feed some people with a long spoon.
That's right.
You know, you can always
come back
around.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
you put a business there.
Yeah, you put a business there, and you can live outside of the hood, just like Moses had to move the tent.
Right.
A meeting outside of the camp because of the foundness of the people.
That's exactly it.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you might have to
that's the point I'm making.
Somewhat of a safer location.
Yeah.
And help from a distance.
That's it.
You can come back and coach a team. You know, you can come back.
That's it.
And start a
pharmaceutical company.
Or start a program.
A program like the brothers did. They went off to college, they left the hood, and they came back, and it was a black-owned dentist. Mm-hmm. You know, 5 brothers who started a black-owned dentist in the community.
Right.
But they had to leave it because the high school was garbage. Mm-hmm. Hey, it was nothing going on but killing and gang banging and drug selling.
Leaving it physically don't mean abandoning it.
That's right. There you go. Great point. And I know some people struggling with that right now. But hey, go off and do the right thing and come back. Go off, and because it's better than leaving for the right reasons, coming back and help, than staying and causing havoc. Some people ain't left the hood and all they doing is killing people. But look at Leviticus 18. Now remember, we're talking about Moses, right? Look at Leviticus 18 and look at verse 1, 2, and 3. YHWH spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel and saying to them, I am YHWH your ELOHIM. So Yah speaking to who? Moses. And Moses speak to us, right? There's no contradictions in the Bible. After the doing of the land of Egypt, wherein you dwelt, shall you not do? He's talking about spiritually. He's talking about the priest. Egypt had a priesthood. Y'all hear me? Egypt had a priest. That's what the metal netta is. The writings, the hieroglyphs of Egypt was done by the priests. Everyday Egyptians didn't know what that was saying.
No, they didn't.
Everyday slaves and what they call peasants.
Right.
They don't know the metal netta.
The proletariat.
Right. They didn't know that. Only ones who knew that was those that was in the inner circle. That was the priesthood and high society. That's why they married within their own family. They made babies with their own brothers and sisters, the pharaohs, because they kept the riches, the knowledge and understanding, what the esoteric information, within the priesthood. And so metal nether means the writings of God. That's what they claim it means. So they don't understand that stuff, because when the Father did away with it, with the priests, those understandings died with the priests. And so they able to figure out some of it. Right. Some percentage of it. They can compare some of it to languages that's in that area. But even Egyptians who spoke whatever Egyptian language it was don't understand a lot of those hieroglyphics on the temples. Right. Only priests. And so it was forbidden for us to understand that nonsense. What did Yah tell Moses to tell the children of Israel? Don't do the doings of the land of Egypt, because Moses knew it. Right. Because Moses was on the inside, you all. Moses was Pharaoh's son, or his grandson, which there was really no such thing as grandson. So Moses was his son. He grew up in his house. And Yah knew what Moses knew.
Son of God.
That's right.
In that culture.
In that culture, Moses was the son of God. That's right. And you should not do as the Egyptians do after their doing of the land of Canaan, which I brought you. Shall you not do, neither shall you walk in their ordinances. See that? So Moses was learned in Egypt, but Moses was not allowed to teach Egypt. So when they say
he knew exactly how to distinguish Israel from Egypt.
Absolutely. So when historians, Egyptologists say that the Bible plagiarized Egypt, it's a lie. Because the Bible speaks against the things of Egypt. And without the Bible, you wouldn't know none of the things that Egypt say and did, because it's the Bible who preserved some of the knowledge of that stuff, of what not to do. And a lot of that stuff is the things we was told not to do. That's why the Father say don't do with Egypt. So what does a lot of that stuff say? Be adulterers, be killers, be sinners, because we was told to do the opposite. All right, so a lot of that junk was not righteous. Now watch this. He said, you should keep my judgment and keep my ordinances to walk therein. I am YHWH. So the Father judges and ordinances was not the same as Egypt. The Bible did not have to plagiarize the metal netter.
And they debunked that anyway.
That's garbage.
There's no such thing as, you have to, you can't debunk an I mean, you can't plagiarize. There's no such thing as plagiarizing an ideal.
Right.
Like, you can't plagiarize the idea that stealing is wrong. It's wrong to steal everywhere.
Right.
You take something that don't belong to you, that's going to be, that would have been illegal anywhere on earth at any given time in any country, great or small.
Yeah, right.
That's not something you can plagiarize.
Got you.
And scholars have already, they've already admitted, most of the so-called Hotep followers, they didn't have to admit that, okay, yeah, you're right, you can't plagiarize an ideal.
Well, those probably the white ones, but a lot of the black ones.
No, the black ones.
I'm saying
they did a video. He did a little thing where he was like, they admitted, okay, you can't plagiarize, but only that's only the ones like polite them.
Yeah.
They had to admit it.
Yeah. Because
somebody checked them on what the word plagiarize means.
Only when they talking to some Israelites with some sense.
Right.
But when they talking to Israelites that don't know better,
right,
they'll try to pull that foolishness. Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
They'll try to steal because they working for Satan and they trying to discourage people out this book.
Right.
And then they still going around, because remember last year when Soraya was on the bus and she ran into the Egyptologist dude and he tried to pull that same nonsense on her, and YHWH walked up and he was running late for class, and YHWH walked up and he saw Soraya talking to this Egyptologist and he blasted dude out the water. Dude tried to pull that same old nonsense that we copying from them. You know, saying the same old
we left Egypt just for the opposite.
Absolutely. So here's a hint and a wink to Egyptologists that want to learn the metal netter. If you want to learn what the metal netter say, just read what the Bible tell Israel not to do. So what the Father say not to do, that's what Egypt say do. It's right here in the scriptures. Turn to Ezekiel, the 20th chapter. Give you an example. Look at Ezekiel, the 20th chapter. I'm going to read, start at verse 7. It says, Then said I unto them, Cast ye away every man the abomination of his eyes, and defile not yourselves with the idols of Egypt. That's what the walls say. It teaches you that Egypt got plenty gods. That's what idols are. I am YHWH, but they rebelled against me and would not hearken unto me. They did not every man cast away their abominations. So that's what the wall got on there. Abominations, right? That idolatry of their eyes, neither did they forsake the idols of Egypt. Then I said, I will pour out my fury upon them to accomplish my anger against them in the midst of the land of Egypt. So this is why the Father is pouring out his fury on us, because we keep doing the things of Egypt, like conscious strippers. This is why the Father is pouring out his spirit of fury on us, because we are doing the things of Egypt. He said, I was angry for my name's sake, that it should be not polluted before the heathen, among whom they were, in whose sight I made myself known unto them, and bringing them forth out of the land of Egypt. Yep. Embarrassing us with doing the things of Egypt. So if you want to know what the priests of Egypt, which is called the mystery system, you want to learn what the metal netters say, learn what Yah said Israel not to do. That's how you learn what it say.
You're embarrassing the Father. It's like a father come and he say, pull you out of a school, and then you go to another school and get to acting a fool.
Right.
Now it make him look like the school he pulled you out of. You know what I'm saying? You embarrass them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You embarrass your parents when you go out and act like you ain't been taught nothing.
Absolutely.
And your parents is out here preaching the word.
Right.
You know, I'm a preacher's kid, so I know.
Same here.
You know what I'm saying?
You selling drugs.
You selling drugs.
Right.
You out, and your parents is in the pulpit.
Right.
Trying to save people.
Right. And you destroying folks' lives.
Destroying folks' lives. So this is what we was doing. He destroyed Egypt and pulled us out of there, and then we get in the land and
act just like that.
And, right.
Yep. And so act just like that.
You basically put the Father to shame.
Yep. Absolutely. It made it look like everything he did was vanity.
Yep.
Verse 10. Wherefore I caused them to go forth out of the land of Egypt, and brought them into the wilderness, and I gave them my statutes, and showed them my judgment, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. And why would he punish us for acting like Egyptians, but Moses taught us the Egyptian way? That don't even make any sense. Yeah. That goes to show you, you don't know the Bible. You don't know scriptures. Hold on. It says, moreover also I gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I am YHWH, that sanctified them. So Egypt didn't have Sabbaths. So this shows you the difference between us and the Egyptians. Egypt don't teach no Sabbaths. So what they call ma'at, they saying we stole that, which is 42 negative confessions.
Platitudes.
So we have laws that some people counted 613, and which anybody who understands the Bible know that you can't get 613 laws from 42. It's not enough. It don't even make sense. It don't even cover the same thing. But we don't have 613 laws. We live by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yah. That's what we live by. Every word. So we don't even really put a number on the law. But I just wanted to show you how the wisdom of this world is not enough.
And they all platitudes anyway.
Yeah.
They platitudes, and this is what a lot of Egyptologists, this is the forked tongue they speak with. You can't copyright a platitude.
Gotcha.
You can't, nobody can lay claim to the idea that it's wrong to rape somebody.
Right.
That's from Adam.
Right. That's human nature instincts. And so there are certain things that we all agree on because it's a human nature, like urinating. You know, who wants to urinate on themselves? It's
go somewhere and you dig a hole.
Right, exactly. And it's almost instinctive. Right. Every nation did that. Well, we're the first one to discover peeing. You know, it's just stupid argument. But that's what they argue about. First don't mean holy. First don't mean righteous.
Firstness is what they obsessed with.
They're obsessed with it.
And that's their whole
argument. We so obsessed, and so since we were first, we could tell everybody else. No. Hey, according to the Bible, most firstborn sons was the biggest screw-uppers. It was the second son that came and cleaned up the first one mess. Hey, from Adam and YHWH, from Cain and Abel.
Yep.
I mean, you know, it goes on and on. Jacob and Esau, Reuben and Jacob.
Ephraim and Manasseh.
Ephraim and Manasseh. So it's always the second and third son cleaning up what the first one messed up. Yep. So first don't mean righteousness. All right? And so you all need to know that, because these are the things you're going to encounter in your walk, because you all going to be way wiser than us.
Ishmael and Isaac?
Yep, Ishmael and Isaac. The information that we have, you all don't have to go through what we gone through to get it, and you all going to build on this information. You all gonna know way more stuff than we knew. You all gonna look back and correct some of the things that we said that was speculative. Because we speculate on a lot of things in Revelation. Because Revelation a lot of times is revealed how it plays out. And so we can read something and imagine it, but the very thing that we read is coming to pass. And if you're alive that day, you say, oh, now I see why the Father say thus and so. Now you see how it play out. So as we get close and close to the second coming of YHWH, hey, the next generation is going to know more than us. But they're going to be weaker in a lot of ways. But they're going to be wiser in a lot of ways. So, but if you keep the righteousness, you won't be weaker with your wisdom. All right? So a couple more verses. Let's go to Psalms 36 and Psalms 89. And then we're going to take a break. So let's go to Psalms 36, and then we're going back after the break to Kings. And finish up the lesson. So Psalms 36.
While we're going there, Noah was called a just man. So he must have had some criterion on right and wrong.
Yep. Absolutely.
You know, even in the world before.
Yeah. It's always been law.
Right.
Yep.
So nobody has the monopoly or the, you know, you think he didn't teach all three of his sons?
Right. Absolutely.
You know, no.
They don't believe in Adam. But
Israel came way down the line.
Right.
But I'm saying, like, if you're going to negate our book and say our book is wrong on that premise.
But see, here's the thing. They negate the book, but they prove it at the same time.
Right.
Because what they call it, mitochondriac, the information that they get from the placenta,
right,
where they get Lucy from, okay, you're proving that there was a Kawhi. You're proving that there was an Eve. That everybody came from one woman. But that's what the Bible says. So only thing you're doing is proving what's written. That's all. This is what the scientists say, that all women, all human beings come from one woman.
Right. I was talking about in terms of plagiarizing.
Yeah, okay.
You know, that all nations had from Noah.
Yeah.
If Noah was a just man,
right,
and all nations came from Noah, then of course every nation that came before Israel is going to have some semblance of what righteousness is. Or what,
so they're going to have some laws.
Right.
And see, but they don't believe in Noah. They don't believe.
But if they saying we plagiarized it, though,
right?
You see what I'm saying? Because even in Babylon, there's the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Right. Right. It was a flood.
If they saying if they saying we plagiarized it, but if you can't. My point is, if it had to start somewhere.
Right.
So you can't plagiarize that which is universal, is what I'm saying. There must have been, even before Egypt, even before some semblance of what is right and wrong. And if we plagiarize it, that tells you, if we did copy it, that's what I'm trying to say, is it tells you that it came from somewhere.
Right.
You know. Right. It had to start somewhere.
Like the laws of Hammurabi.
Right. Hammurabi. Which is also where you find the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Right. That's the same place.
So if the Bible is saying that all men came from Noah, then that proves the Bible.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's it.
Why wouldn't it include that story?
Right.
If all nations came, that means all nations should have some similar story. And
they do.
You see what I'm saying? You should find some similarities throughout all the kingdoms of the earth if they did come from one family.
Right. Absolutely. So all they do is,
it would prove that we was wrong if we had completely different laws.
Right. They hate Yah without a cause. I hear you. Great point. Psalms 36:6. Remember this. Your righteousness is like the great mountains. Your judgments are a great deep. O Yah, you preserve man and beast. So righteousness is like great mountains. Your judgments are great depth or great deep. O Yah, you preserve man and beast. Psalms 89. And then we're going to take a break. Remember, we read Proverbs 14:34, that righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any man. So this is to go along with those. Psalms 89. Somebody give him the page number. Psalms 89,
703.
Page 703. It says, in your name shall they rejoice all day, and in your righteousness shall they be exalted. So in Yah's righteousness we shall...
What verse?
16.
Oh, that's 704.
In your name shall they rejoice all the day, and in your righteousness shall they be exalted. So in Yah's righteousness we shall be exalted. So it's the righteousness of Yah that exalts us as a people, and not the wisdom of the world. All right. So let's take a break.